Okay, this is these are the critiques for the process speech for uh, class 80N, and the first one is Skittles. You talked about Haribo's. Um, you need to center yourself in the picture. You're kind of you're way over to one side. Make sure you're centered in the picture when you do that. You had a very nice conversational approach, which is good. Get more light on yourself. The bright background and it's hard to see you. You want to do something that if you watch cooking shows and a process speech, you want to do the various steps, have them pre-done. So you never actually cut anything, and you just show them as you go along. Establish your credibility. Be a little more into it. Why do you do this? How do you know about it? How long have you been doing it? How did you find out about it in the first place? Even if you don't have a degree in something, you can be credible in what you know. Um, Show examples of items as you name them. When you say there's this kind of bow and there's that kind of bow and there's that kind of bow, show us examples of them. Watch the tisk. You're still making the sound like that. There were no speaker notes. That's kind of the preparation outline. Talk about the steps. You don't have to show them in reality, but you do need to kind of talk about them. That's what process means. And then also be sure to show what it looks like when it's done. And also, you didn't talk about the cost of resources and what it costs to have a finished product. So make sure that you do all of that when you do your speech. All right, next is Harley. Harley, I have never in my life given anyone a perfect score on a speech, but yours was as close to perfect as I've ever seen anyone come, and thus congratulations, you did it. You have a very pleasant approach and conversational. You did a nice job of establishing your credibility. You have great eye contact. You don't need to set up the audience. Just start with them introducing themselves. You don't need to say, now I'd like to have my audience introduce themselves. I know what's going on, so you don't need to set that up. You have a very, very friendly approach. I like your personalizing of the tips. By the way, you talked about white chili for those people that wonder what we're talking about. You were as good as Paula Deen or any of the people that are on the cooking show. You need your own show, in fact. That's how good you are. I did write on here, this is just about as good as it gets. I have really no negative points about anything you did in this speech. And the irony is, through your word imagery, through your ability to bring life to the words, you basically did this all verbally. You didn't show anything. You talked about it. And that's a gift that you have, and congratulations, you got a perfect score. Next up is Sequata. You only sent the speech outline. You appeared to get lost in your own speech at times. At one point you said wool. Well, more than one point where you were talking about wool, and it sounded like you used the word wood. That's pretty distinctly different, but that's what I saw. Stand still, don't rock back and forth, left to right. You use terms, but you don't define those terms. Always define what you're talking about. Don't start your speech until you've taken a completely still position. Take a deep breath, look at the camera, and start your speech. You said there's no harmful stuff in them. That's a little bit pedestrian for a speech on process. What is stuff? You've got to define those kinds of things. Your speech demanded sources. You didn't give any. Who is the audience for this speech? Keep in mind that audience. This was a potentially interesting speech topic. You're reporting on something. It's not very personal. It's not conversational. You want to make sure that this kind of speech is conversational. In the end of your speech, frankly, I still wouldn't know a fake from a real original. So, make sure that you keep that in mind when you're speaking. Next up is Rambo. You talked about being a firefighter. Work on eye contact. You're actually reading your speech, and it just is, you have no energy whatsoever. Look at the audience, especially for the opener. You talked about you can teach bravery. Tell me how you teach bravery. You want to be careful about statements that just because you're a fireman doesn't mean you're a hero. I understand what you're talking about, but don't use broad generalizations. You said that because of your firefighting skills, you're a hero to the world. Boy, that's a pretty broad generalization. Your energy in this speech was zero. In fact, at times, you actually look disinterested in what you're talking about. Don't sigh when you speak. You talk about energy, and you're doing a speech, and it's... Boy, I'll tell you, that's a killer. You had a very weak ending. You said, so you go to your local firehouse, and they train you. Then you take a test and you're on your way. Really? So all I have to do is go to a local fire station and they will train me to be a firefighter? I don't think that's exactly the way it works. In the process speech, you describe for any firefighter how to get a job. You need to make sure that you're accurate on everything. You sent 3 outlines. They were essentially the same, so make sure that you're really sharp on that. Next up is pumpkin. You talked about changing oil in a car. Don't sigh while you're speaking. You did that a lot. Put your props in front of you so you're not turning away when you do that. That gets to be somewhat distracting. You need to get more energy. You're reading. You're not talking to me. Notice how when I'm looking down and reading stuff, you lose interest. Don't fall apart at the end is what I wrote here. Finish strong. Lots of energy. Tough finish. You don't say anything about the cost of your tools. You don't say anything about this dollar savings of doing it yourself. You sent no speech outline and you sent no preparation outline. So take care of that. Next up is Doberman. Take your place, stop, then start your speech. Don't be talking while you're still moving in. You're reading your speech. Point on some way to show what you're talking about. Try to bring some energy to your speech. Watch the tisk, that sound that you make. What is 1/3 of a chunk? You're talking about hair. What's 1/3 of a chunk? I don't know. You're instructing in curling hair, but your hair looks fairly straight. Now, I don't know whether you curled your hair or not, but if you're going to tell me about curling and its benefits, then perhaps you want to be an example of it yourself. You sent no outlines. Next up is Fox. Fox, you've never sent me a fantasy name, so you don't know who you are. And I'm not going to tell you what you spoke about so that you'll be even more mysterious. You have no source for any of the information you gave in your speech, and yet it actually has so much information in it that you couldn't have made it up yourself, so it demands a source. You have the wrong camera shot. You're actually shooting up. I need to see light on your face. I can't see your eyes. You only sent a speech outline. You have no audience. Without an audience, you actually fail the assignment. You cannot pass an individual speech and ignore so many required points. So that's it. I'll let it go for now, and we'll get back to you next time. The scores have now been posted in Blackboard. Have a great week.